6 steps plus 6 more. It's a rugged road to recovery, stay strong. Take it one day at a time, sometimes one day's too long. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4, 5 steps, 6 steps plus 6 more. It's a rugged road to recovery, stay strong. Take it one day at a time, sometimes one day's too long. Peace, I'm Shaheem, I'm a recovering addict. My choice of drug was PCP, I had to have it. I drink and smoke weed, sniffed a little coke. Mommy overdosed off dope, I lost all control. The dark times of my life, it stole my soul. I did some foul shit, I only hope I'm forgiven for. Thanks for allowing me to share like this Instagram post. Bill broke his Achilles heel on the football field. His prescriptions got filled, he got hooked on pills. His mind telling him stop, the way his body feel. It's not a choice, it's a disease, I'm here to help you heal. For real, hit my line, you know the sun don't chill. Karen sold the body for a crystal meth habit, and when her Johnny ain't have it, she lost her mind and stabbed him 100 times. She got life for the crime, she was only 21 at the time. Damn, my ministry is in the streets, in the DOC, the rugged road to recovery. We don't preach, this is thug motivational speech. I have a dream that we all stay clean. Peace. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4. It's a rugged road to recovery, stay strong. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4, 5 steps, 6 steps plus 6 more. It's a rugged road to recovery, stay strong. Take it one day at a time, sometimes one day's too long. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4, 5 steps, 6 steps plus 6 more. It's a rugged road to recovery, stay strong. Take it one day at a time, sometimes one day's too long.
Hey yo, road to recovery, shot linked up with me. People, places, things fall in line with bad company. Signed in the group cause my family had enough of me. In and out of jail, doing drugs while they judging me. Used to smoke the dust to leaf, I ain't really fuck with sleep. The dust juice had me like Goose, talking mumbly. Know you seen the dust juice video, that wasn't me. Man that I am today could talk about it comfortably. Cocaine had my own fam, not trusting me. Hide it from my girl, she found out she don't fuck with me. Now I'm on the fucking street, trying to get in touch with Squeak. Mind moving fast, body slow, shutter speed. Broad streets, they pretend we up the street. Build a 29, walking stumbly. Can't feel a thing when they jumping me. Shot said hit me, get in touch with me. Me and Shot couldn't do a fucking beat without cocaine, dust, liquor, and a couple freaks. Hammers in the
Peace. What's up? Peace. Welcome to the rugged road to recovery. Is white America teaching their young people that it's acceptable and legal to kill young black people? Are they creating a future of white murderers? Inquiring minds would like to know. Once again, another young black teenager, 18 years old, is gunned down by another white person on December 6, 2021. Unfortunately, another black teenager in prison for his friend's murder, while the white person who admitted to the murder is alleged self-defense, is free, leaving another black mother to mourn over her son and a system of injustice that allows his murderer to go unpunished. While another mother attempts to get justice for her 18-year-old son who is being falsely accused of murdering his own friend, the same one who the young white male admitted to shooting. The self-proclaimed murderer is allowed in Rington, Georgia, by the Rington Police Department to never arrest or even interrogate him or his girlfriend who was with him during the time of the incident. Kamarion Burdett is no longer here with us to tell his side of the story, but Terry Bailey is. Yet, we cannot have heard his full side of his story, especially before he was indicted on several counts of murder, criminal attempt to commit robbery, aggravated assault, interference with government property, and obstructing of an officer. Our focus here today is to raise funds for the Bailey family to get representation for Terry, and the Burdett family to get representation for a civil suit for Kamarion. And most importantly, to reassure that justice is served for the guilty parties. Today's guest on the Rugged Road to Recovery is the mother of Terry Bailey and the mother of Kamarion Burdett. And she is here to Oh, so the whole time I was on mute. So that's not going to work. Okay. Um, Let me just make sure everybody heard me. If you didn't hear me the whole time, let me go back and start this thing over. Um, all right. So let me introduce the mothers. Okay. First, I would like to introduce the mother of Cherry Bailey, Miss Yolanda Bailey, and the mother of Kamarion Burdett, Miss Takaya Burdett.
Hello.
All right. So
Hello, how you
let
doing?
me introduce the mothers.
Hello, how you doing? I'm Yolanda Bailey. I'm Terry
Hi, I'm
Bailey's mother.
Takaya Burdett.
Peace, peace. All right. And I also would like to. Y'all hear me? We go. Oh shit. Oh, there's some spirits in the house today, boy. All right. And I also would like to introduce uh, a community activist, Tamika Graham, and our law correspondent, Mr. True Master. Peace.
Peace.
Peace. Peace.
Yeah, bear
Peace.
with me. It's a rugged road. It's a rugged road to get the podcast rolling. Word. All right, so here we are, man. Thank y'all for being here. Uh, True Master, Tamika, Miss Bailey, and Miss Burdett. And we all know why we're here. You know what I'm saying, to bring awareness to the incident that took place on December 6, 2021. My first question is for Miss Bailey. The person who admitted to killing Kamarion Burdett is Trevor Scott, who was at the time a 19-year-old white young adult. According to the reports, both parties, Trevor and Terry Bailey, the accused, are saying they was victims of robbery. Can you tell us, do you know if Terry was actually being robbed?
I don't know if Tebby was being robbed, or was attempted to be robbed. I know he had some fears of that. Um, while speaking to him, we really can't say much about that, but I can say that nothing was taken from either participant in that situation. Um, so that's the answer to that question. Nothing was taken from either participant. Um,
Um,
so I'm sorry.
Terry's girlfriend spoke with Terry on the day of the incident, and
Mm-hmm.
the police claim that they have a recorded conversation between the two of them. Miss
Mm-hmm.
Bailey, since Terry's girlfriend is not present, and you briefly spoke to Terry, can you tell us what Terry's side of the story is?
Okay, so
Um,
for the conversation that they put on the stand, that was it's a public record. It was said that he was trying to explain, or he was trying to tell her that he was getting robbed, but he was explaining to the situation where he felt he was about to be robbed. Like he was trying to tell her, like it didn't happen that way. It happened the opposite way, and he was telling her what he assumed was happening at the moment, and they tried to turn that statement against him. So at that point, again, we asked him not to speak on the phones because it wasn't something he said in the interrogation room. It was something he was trying to explain to his girlfriend that he felt was happening to him, and they turned that against him. If if y'all can understand that.
okay. See, yeah, this is why legal representation is needed so that
Mm-hmm.
Terry's side of the story can actually be
Yeah.
heard.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, right? If Trevor Scott is the only person who is the self-accused shooter, Miss Bailey,
Mm-hmm.
why is Terry being accused of murdering his friend when Scott admitted to firing a fatal shot?
They said because he had conflicting stories when he was detained for the first time. When he went into the police station willingly, he didn't tell them exactly what they wanted to hear, basically. So they decided to say, okay, since his story doesn't add up, we're gonna charge him with the murder. So that whatever he didn't say, he lied or he told different stories. I wasn't there, or whatever it may be. It wasn't what they wanted to hear, so they locked him up and charged him with murder.
Excuse me, Shah, if I may interrupt for just add on. Whenever an alleged crime takes place and two or more people are committing the crime, if one of those people dies during the alleged commission of the crime, they can charge the other person that's alleged to have committed the crime with their friend's murder because it wouldn't have happened unless the crime was being committed, and that's called felony murder. It's not necessarily that he did it directly, but indirectly
And
and
I
implicitly.
know that lore. I know that lore, but the what demonstrating the guns wasn't illegal, so
No,
that
no, no,
wasn't a crime. So they
no.
added different. I'm sorry.
I was saying I thought that they were alleging that Terry and Kamarion tried to rob this white
Mm-hmm.
boy. So if they're alleging that, that's how they would have. That's how they can also say, well, if they, because they're just believing their word without, investigating,
Yes.
like you said, or looking deeper into the
Yes.
matter. And so, since they're believing that they were
Yes.
being robbed, they're saying that during the attempted commission of that robbery, he was fatally injured.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So that's when. That's why they're. I understand why they're charging him with that, and I thank you for that great. I don't think they did enough. Participant was doing the robbery, because they didn't allow. Cameron can't speak. TJ can speak. Sarah Newman and Trevor Scott can speak. Even though only Trevor spoke, but they investigation where they pulled all parties accountable for that incident, and then decided, okay, let's figure out who was robbing who was doing what. They decided, you know what, we're just going to believe one side over the other.
Exactly.
And Miss Tamika wants to speak, so I'm gonna let her speak on that, because I think she wants to speak on that. Miss Tamika, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Takaya.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Takaya.
I was just thinking, like, this has been happening since the beginning of time, right? The white man tells a story, he gets believed, and the black man is the one that served the injustice. I'm just wondering, in this case, like, what does justice look like to you? What does it look like to you, and what does it look like to your sons? And this is for you and Ms. Burdett. What does justice look like to y'all?
Mr. Takaya want to speak, so let her answer that question prior to me. Go ahead, Mr.
Before I go on to answer your questions, I do want to say that, like you say, they did try to use that charge Terry Bailey based on them believing Trevor Scott's statement, but however, they did not launch a full investigation. My son was the one with the missing property, which we'll probably get into later, but my son was the one with the missing cell phone, with the missing debit cards. None of those things were found on his body. So, they failed to launch an investigation or investigate Trevor Scott based on his race. They just, wanted to say, hey, we believe him. He's innocent based on his race. But my son did not. He just spoken to his girlfriend prior to dying, just 30 minutes prior to passing away. And yet you cannot find a cell phone or debit cards or money on his body. To go on to your question of what does justice look like, I would say justice look like holding, the Rica Police Department and Trevor Scott accountable. When the police department decides to take an oath, they say they're going to protect and serve. And that's what we expect them to do. So I feel like everyone, all the detectives, Detective Harris, Detective Hayes, they need to step down. They need to be demoted for failing to properly investigate this case. Where in America can someone kill someone? Can a black man kill a white boy, say that they tried to rob me, give his version of testimony, and go home? Where in America does that happen? I want Trevor Scott to also be held accountable, and I would like for Justice Terry Bailey walking out of Effingham County Jail, going home to his family.
Okay, hold on 1 second, True. Miss Bailey or Miss Burdett, do you know if there was any cameras in the neighborhood or surrounding areas was there any cameras? Did anybody have any type of footage? Anything like that? Either one of you can answer that.
Okay. As we walked the floor, because me and Takaya has walked around the neighborhood, into the doors, there was only one Ring camera, but the police got to that individual before we did. And she said, she said that she couldn't give it to us. So I'm assuming, and this is only assumption, and I have to say that if she did have any camera footage, the police already have it, but it was on her door, and it was maybe 50 feet from where it actually happened. It wouldn't have caught anything. It wouldn't have caught it because it was directly in front. It wouldn't have caught the bullets. That's where the gunshots went into that house. It wouldn't have caught it because it's a Ring camera. So that's the only footage that's in that area. Okay.
And Ms. Burdett, usually in the autopsy report, you can learn more about a crime, like the angle and the range at which a person can determine, like where they can determine when and where a person was shot and the time of death. Did they do an autopsy on Kamarion? And if so, did you get that report?
It is not available. They told me 4 months. I called the other day. It's not available at this moment. At the funeral home, I did speak with the funeral director, the head director. She advised me that she's been working with guns all her life. That's her profession. She said it looked like my son was executed, like someone stood over him, but that's just her opinion. But that came from the mouth of the person over the funeral home. She said it looked like he was executed. Other than that, I'm waiting for the autopsy report to come back.
Can I say something about that? I'm sorry. Can I just say something? I know in the preliminary report, if you read, if anybody wants to, it's a public record. When we went into court, the lawyer that TJ Terry has said something. He was trying to be slick, and he just wanted the detective to caught him off guard with this question. He said he was shot close range, and the detective said, "Oh yeah." So when you saying that, Takaya, that's something off of what the police actually said on stand, which is a public record that's on stand, that he was shot close range, and the police officer said yes. So that's why we say it's a lot of conflicting stories of it, because if he was sitting in a car, how can he been shot close range? And I'm just using, only thing I could talk about is things that's already public record, and that's a public record. And I was standing there when he said that, and I know it's in the preliminary report because that's what the Detective Harris said on stand. And I'm sorry to Takaya for saying that. I know that's hurtful to hear. Because again, you know, you have lost your son, and I don't want to bring you any more pain than you need to bring, but it's something that was said on stand. You know what I'm saying? It's like the autopsy lady told you that it looked like he was executed, and I believe that because of what Detective Harris said out his mouth.
We have some questions from our followers on YouTube, right? And there are highway cameras. There are also cell phone towers that can pinpoint the whereabouts of people. Has anyone requested the intel of these to determine where Mr. Trevor was after the shooting?
No, I don't think so. I spoke with the detectives the next day after my son was murdered. They told me that he was not being investigated. There would be no charges. So they did not look into him. They questioned him for right after the incident for less than an hour. And this is the conversation that I had with the district attorney and Detective Harris. They questioned Trevor Bailey and his girlfriend, Sarah Noonan, for less than an hour. They let them go, determined it was self-defense and that he was not going to be charged. So they did not pursue any of those things. They didn't look into anything. They did not tell the detectives, never mentioned about my son's property being missing. I questioned them for weeks about his cell phone, his debit card. And when I had a meeting with the district attorney, they had no knowledge of that because it wasn't mentioned by the detectives. So pretty much they just decided to not pursue Trevor Scott. They made up that mind on their night. And I want to bring up something that stood out in the police report. When Trevor Scott called the police, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to give you the floor to do that. You and Ms. Bailey. The next question I have is: do you have any questions? Do both of y'all have any questions that you feel needs to be answered that wasn't answered? So
yes, okay. Takaya, I have something just on that note about him driving away. I asked that, and I'm still asking that. We don't know the time frame. We don't know if he went somewhere else. We don't know what he did prior after leaving the scene, because he was not at the scene of the incident. He drove away. He decided when he was going to call the police. He decided to, act nice and calm. And again, I have the police dispatch on my phone. He was nice and calm and collective. And he was like, and over again, he didn't say I was attempted robbed. He kept telling everybody he was robbed. So I asked him, how do you know where he went and where he did not go? He could have went, to his people's house, did whatever, dropped off the cell phone, dropped off the credit card, dropped off whatever. Nobody knows where he went after he left that scene. He's claimed that he made sure he told the neighbor was black. He made sure he stated, oh, I was leaving because I was scared. He made sure he said a lot of things, but he didn't say.
Basically, the questions that you need to be answered is, why wasn't the investigation done? Why wasn't the towers and these things
Anything
reported?
pulled to see exactly
Because
what he did when he left the scene of the crime, because he could have did anything, and no one knows what he did because he was not at that scene when it happened. He didn't call at that scene. It was only one person shooting you, and you leaving made it make sense to know that you could have
yeah,
did anything
well
in
the
that
cells,
time frame when he left.
well, the cell phone towers will tell that because I watch shows all the time, and they usually
Mm-hmm.
use it to, find out where you at when they want you. So we're sure once Terry gets
But
the proper
if they're not looking
representation,
for
and
that,
well, that's why Terry's lawyer and a representation and private investigators will go out and get that. Before we get True Master's opinion on that, Miss Burdett, do you have any questions that you feel need to be answered that you feel haven't been answered? And after that point, I would like Tamika Graham and True Master to weigh in on this incident from their perspectives. Thank you.
Absolutely, I do have questions, and the question that I've had from day one. To just go back, my son just spoken with his girlfriend at 5:15 p.m. By 5:45, he was dead. Where is his cell phone? Where are his debit cards? She asked him to pick up something from the store. He was going to pick up something from the store. Where's his debit cards? Also, why did they leave his big, large brain matters? It was large chunks of brain matter at the crime scene. I understand that it is not their duty to clean up a crime scene. However, that amount of brain matter should have been taken into evidence. And there goes derelict of duty, and acting in bad faith. That amount of brain matter, it should have been taken into evidence. Also, Trevor Scott was very familiar with the area. I lived in Lincoln, Georgia. He's act as when he left the crime scene as if he did not know where he was. He lived 2 minutes away. The police station was 2 minutes away. If he driven left, he would have been at the police station. Had he went left and drove two minutes, he would have been at Lincoln Police Department. Had he turned left and drove 2 minutes, he would have been at home. Instead, he decided to go right. Who was right? What was right? That was Terry Bailey. Terry Bailey ran right. He made a right turn. Trevor Scott went right, according to the police report. So I just want to know, why wasn't these things looked into? Why wasn't there a proper investigation? So that's pretty much what I want to know. Like, where's my son's property?
And when they did talk to Trevor, he never went to the police department. Was him or his girlfriend ever tested for gunpowder residue on their hands to say who actually fired the shot? Because usually when they have to test all parties that's there to see if gunpowder's on them. Was any of those tests done?
Absolutely not. I had a conversation with the district attorney and with Detective Harris. They said no. Trevor Scott, the shooter, nor his girlfriend were tested for gunpowder residue to see who was the shooter. They were never tested.
Ms. Tamika Graham, do you have anything you want to ask to Ms. Burdett and Ms. Bailey?
Yeah, actually, we jumped right into the case and stuff, and I feel like, our viewers don't know who we're talking about. So, can you guys, tell us who your kids are? Tell us some things about them.
I would say Kamarion Burdett, my son, was 19 years old when he passed. He had just turned 19 years old, and this is a picture of him. He was a big brother to 3. He was an uncle. Kamarion was loving. He was just full of life. He was that type of friend to where all his friends tell me stories about him. He always accepted people. He just accepted people. He didn't care what you had, what you didn't have, if you had designers or none of that. He liked to befriend people who wasn't as popular. He made people feel accepted and welcoming. And one thing about him, as far as in the household, he always wanted to just take care of home. I remember when he was 16, he got his first job at Taco Bell. He gave me his whole $300 check so I can pay a bill. My battery went out in my car the other day, and I'm so used to him handling things like that. I was stuck because just 2 years prior, he fixed the battery, got the battery changed. He put oil in the car. He hang up the curtains. He go to the school meetings when I can't go and sit in for his youngest brother basketball game. He was working for Kelly Services. He was making $19 an hour before he passed away. Just 2 days prior, he was just boasting to me about all the overtime that he was accumulating. He had a girlfriend who was going to Savannah State University, and that's the reason that he stayed down in Savannah when I just recently moved back to Atlanta, because he wanted her to finish her semester, and they were going to move back to Atlanta. He was going to pursue his GED. He wanted to do underwater welding. He wanted to start a family, and he was just full of love, still checking out library books up until 2 months prior to him being murdered. He was very inquisitive. He was a loving kid.
It's unfortunate because we've been living in a time where there's so many injustices that's been happening to the Black and brown community, and in just like the last 24, 36 months, we've had so many different protests and marches and riots and stuff that were happening, worldwide because of, this very thing. And, I'm just wondering, what did you ever think you would be in this position? Like, did you think that you would be on this side of the stick? And also, I also want to know, like, what other than being on the rugged road to recovery, what else have you done to try to get some type of justice or try to give exposure to the case?
Well, one of the things first of all, I'm sure neither one of us thought we would be on this side of the road. When George Floyd's situation was going on, first I was always talking to my son about, if you have an encounter with the police, use these precautions, but I never thought that it would hit my steps to where I will be burying my son, who just turned 19. So of course I would never think this would be my story, but so things that I have done, I've reached out to other moms who have been impacted by this, and I'm trying to use Clubhouse as a platform for just bringing awareness and healing, and also just creating a web page right now because I want, more people to come together and unify. And I want it to be, of course, in honor of my deceased son. I don't want parents to have to wait till it hit their backyard or it comes to your home before you decide to stand up. And I know, the world looks and they sit back and they try to determine who's right and who's wrong. But at the end of the day, the justice, we want justice because every person, regardless of they're Black, if they're white, if they're Chinese, we deserve to be treated equal. We deserve an investigation to be properly launched. That's what we deserve.
I agree.
So those are things that we pretty much were pushing for. We're pushing for justice. And just sharing that story. We're sharing the story.
True Master, do you have any?
Well, first of all,
can I say who's Terry is?
Legal advice?
First of all, I want to say my heart goes out to both of you mothers, especially Miss Burdette, for the loss of your son. And I want to thank Tamika for asking you to tell us about them, because then we're able to see, how this young man was a good young man. He took care of his family, he took care of his mother. He had a good job. He had a girl in his life, and he had a bright future. Now, in terms of what she brought up about, how they'll just believe a white person, or, when we look at the Ahmaud Arbery case, when they killed Ahmaud Arbery, initially, the police and the prosecutors just believed the fathers, and they just went with that narrative. And then eventually the truth came out, and now we even have something we never saw before. We have a prosecutor about to face criminal charges for refusing to prosecute in the initial stages of that case. So we're in a pivotal time in history. We're in a social and criminal justice reform era. And I looked at some of the evidence of this case with Yvette prior on with Shaheen, and I saw so many inconsistencies that it's absurd, the desperation that people, you know, try to use in pursuing these cases like this, knowing how wrongful they are. I believe that Terry can beat this case. After looking at just the evidence I saw more than reasonable doubt in the case. I want to advise the parents to please, you know, tell Terry to not speak on the phone anymore. As you mentioned, they used his statements when he was explaining himself against you. And that's like they tell you, you have a right to remain silent because what you say can and will be you. They'll twist it. You know, this is why you have to don't talk to anybody except for your attorney or your family. And what you can do, you can have your lawyer request a copy of all the phone calls that they have listened to for you to have a copy in your defense so that you know what they're looking at, what they've heard. You have a right to request that. You want to make sure he doesn't talk any further about the case, but you want to get a complete narrative of the case. I like to look further into the case and see if I can see any more inconsistencies and things that just don't make any sense. But again, make sure he doesn't speak on the phone. And that's very important.
I wasn't able to speak about TJ.
I know, Miss Bailey. I know that's why I was coming right to you because I didn't realize that we had skipped over you for
Yeah, it's okay.
State. So the floor is yours. Can you please tell us about Terry?
So Terry was a sibling of 5. He's 6, and so this is him and his family. So we like a whole big old bunch, and that's my grandbaby. So that's his niece.
Can you hold it up a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. That's him. He's right here. That's the tall one right here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see him, but that's him. And those are his siblings. That's his sister, his little brother, his other sister, his big brother, and his niece. So this is us as a family, and that's what we do. We are family. We stick together for everything. So we do everything. We go everything together. They're growing up, so they're moving out. So I'm not used to that. TJ moved out to stay with his girlfriend who lives maybe a block away from here. Devere moved out to his girlfriend. Everybody's moving out, but they all come home. You know, we do like a Sunday dinner or a game night or something at home because mommy's all alone, so she needs her kids to come home on Sunday. And so that's what we do. So Mr. Him, and then he lives only a block away, so he feels like he has to always come home. 5 o'clock in the morning, he's coming in my house. What you doing? And I'm sick of saying, I'm like, leave me alone. So now I can't tell him, leave me alone. So, you know, having that, nobody knock on that door at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can't throw nothing at nobody. That's Terry. You know, he graduated high school. He just was finding his way in life. He was thinking about going to the Navy. They still calling my phone. Like Takaya said, him and Kamarion hooked him up with a job. Like, okay, I can go start working here. You know, I can get me a ride because he didn't drive or nothing. So he needed somebody else, you know, who drove and stuff to get around here because we live in a small town. There ain't no buses out here. And that's what he was doing. He was just trying to find his way. He's trying to find his way in life. So, you know, doing crazy stuff, things that, you know, we wouldn't probably done, running outside late night. Oh, shoot, we got to get home before the, you know, lights get on. He just started being able to do stuff on his own. And now they lock him away and tell him, that's over. You're going to do what I want you to do. You're going to go to sleep when I tell you to go to sleep. And he's so confused. And he's so depressed.
I'm sorry, Miss Yolanda. I want to add this important part about her son. Terry had just got a job that day when the day that my son was murdered. He was just hired at the same company where my son worked, making $19 an hour. He was just hired that day. That was a reason for both of these boys to celebrate. They're 18 and 19, making $19 an hour, probably more than, you know, some adults. They had a reason to celebrate, to laugh, to go have fun, not to commit a crime. He just had made a monster.
And that's exactly what I was saying, that Kamarion got him that job that day, and he was so happy. He was telling everybody, Mom, you know, you called me and tell me, Mom, I got the job. You know, he's so happy that he had a job. And he used to walk to the store up there all the time. And, you know, I'll be coming home from work. I see him walk out. Boy, what you doing? That's my favorite line. Boy, what you doing? I'm just going to the store, Mom. I'm just going to the store. Okay. And I'll go home and, you know, everything's fine. You just don't think that you're going to get a call and say, he's going to jail forever. Like, that's what I heard when I heard the charges. I didn't hear murder. I heard forever. Because when
Let
you
me
hear
let,
murder, you get 25 years.
let me explain something.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, from what I heard about this case, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details here, this
Mm-hmm.
case is very, very weak. First of all, it's a circumstantial case. In any circumstantial case, the defendants have a right to have character witnesses. And the charge to the jury has to read as follows. Because this is a circumstantial case, he has to be permitted to have a character witness. If you believe the character witness, you can use that testimony to find him innocent. So just on the fact of what kind of history they have, right? You could have people come and testify that they had good jobs. Now it's time to get an investigator and find out about the life of this other guy. Okay?
Well,
Because let me just say this one thing. If this is the charge to the jury. If you believe that the character of this person from the character witness, if you believe them and you get credible people with good jobs as well, then you can use that as enough reasonable doubt. That's how weak circumstantial cases are. Lawyers don't typically tell you these kind of things, but I'm telling you right now, this case is reeking with all kind of inconsistencies and shit that don't make no sense. But just on the strength of their character alone, and you have to make sure that there are Black people on the jury because you have a constitutional right to people of your peers. I don't know how, I heard the ratio of the Black people there. You have to make sure some Black people on that jury. And I have faith that these kids, I have faith that Terry's going to beat the case, if you want to know. Okay.
Thank you.
And so I hope that comforts you. And like I said, a circumstantial case, he could beat it just on a character witness. And they were working. They were trying to build a future. He just got a job. That's not the type of person that going out and committing a crime.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Takai want to say something, I think.
And I do want to say, since you brought up, I'm sorry, Shaheem, did you want to go ahead?
No. I'll let you speak before we move on. Okay.
I know they did say, what questions did you have? And it came to my mind when True Master had said, get an investigator about the other young man. Well, one of the questions to reverting back is Trevor Scott, the one who murdered my son. Since he murdered my son, he has been harassing my family and Terry's girlfriend. He liked the picture on Instagram of my son in a casket. He has sent my daughter and my son's friends Instagram requests. So I did want to bring that up. So these are things that we're having to deal with, that the police, they try to bring up other things, but they're not bringing awareness to this. So this young man who murdered my son has been able to reach out.
That's unacceptable. And you need to immediately get an order of protection against him to show his character. And also, see, this shows his character. Also, what Shaheem raised about, I had thought about that as well. There's a geo-tracking now available through Google, where it's been used to help solve crimes. In this instance, I would request to locate the phone after that incident. Where did his phone go to after that incident? And they'll be able to track where his phone went, and that will also serve to be some really good evidence as to what really happened. So you can find out.
To go with that note, Terry, my son Terry, his girlfriend had to do that, and she did call. She couldn't be here at night, but she did call the Rincon police and told them about him harassing and making different pages to stalk her, and they told her to get the pages and the links and go ahead and make a complaint. So they told her to go down to Springfield and make a formal complaint.
Absolutely.
They just told her that the other day because he's doing that as well to her.
That's peace. Well, we're gonna bring this discussion to a closure on this live forum with a few questions that need to be answered to help bring justice for Kamarion and Terry. Sarah E. Noonan, Trevor Scott's girlfriend, was allegedly in the passenger seat. If Kamarion was at the side of the car, why were there bullet holes in the front window? Was Scott shooting at Terry? Was he chasing him with his car? Why weren't Noonan and Scott shot? Did Noonan have a gun too? Why didn't Scott or his girlfriend call 911 as soon as they left? Why is Kamarion's wallet and his phone missing? When Scott is blaming him for robbery, why is a black man being in prison for a white man's self-admitted killing of another young black man? These are questions that needs to be answered in a discovery during this court case. The families need true legal representation in order for justice to be served. So the Rugged Road to Recovery is asking anyone out here with resources that you can suggest. Please put it in the chat or email us at the Rugged Road to Recovery at gmail.com. You can follow these the mothers, Takaya Burdett, Yolanda Bailey on their social medias, as well as Kamarion Burdett social media, and Terry Bailey. Before we get out of here, any last words anybody would like to say? And again, thank you for being a part of sharing your story on the Rugged Road to Recovery. We understand it's a rugged road, so once you rise your vehicle, make sure your tires got enough air. Make sure you got enough gas, because we on a rugged road. And peace.
I want to thank everybody for participating and showing. And yes, again, I have my social media is Londa Bailey at gmail.com, Londa Bailey1 at gmail.com. I am looking for help with representation. You know the word. I'm looking for a lawyer. I can't say the word correctly at this moment because I'm getting stuttered, but I am looking for help for that. And I do thank that everybody who come out. I thank you.
Yes.
My name.
Please forward my information to the mothers, and y'all can feel free to reach out anytime you want on any kind of advice or any questions you may have. I'll be more than happy to assist in any way I can.
Well, I just thank you for that. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And I just pray that y'all just really research the case, look at the inconsistencies. There's so much more to this story. For me, I'm seeking a civil attorney. Also, I am looking to pursue the Lincoln Police Department. This is what I had to see. This is my son, brain matter. This is what they pointed me to, his brain matter. They pointed me in the direction of it for me and my children to have to see that. And just don't let it hit your backyard. Like, the only way to make change is to unify. And exactly. it takes a village to protect our children. Our ancestors, they fought. That's how change was able to come. They fought. So let's not just sit on the wayside. Let's be a voice. Let's unify, and let's demand justice. And it's not just for Yolanda's and our sons, but it's also for your kids and your grandkids and your future grandkids. I have to wear my son on my neck. This is my baby's ashes in here. So I just pray that, y'all, if any resources, anybody who just have any resources that can help us, and prayer, whatever it is, we're very thankful. And let's just continue to fight justice for Kamarion Burdett and justice for Terry Bailey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to say
Tamika?
thank you for. Just want to say thank you for. I just want to say thank you for taking this time out to lift your voices and provide a voice for Cam, who's not able to provide a voice for himself, and for providing a voice for Terry. I hope you guys. I wish you guys the best, and I hope anybody that's out there watching. I hope that you take this serious, right? Just because you may not know the guest, and because you may not even be in that state, doesn't mean that you're not affected by it. The problem that we have in this world is that we watch these things happen and we just sit there watching it. So I thank you, ladies, for not laying down and just taking it. I appreciate the fact that you're standing up. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to bring awareness to this. And I just hope that everybody just, steps up and tries to do their part. If anybody's able to go out in Rincon and help advocate or offer some type of resources, lawyers, even your voice sharing, right? The people, that help. Every little bit helps. And I just hope that you have a safe trip on your rugged road to recovery.
Thank you, Tamika. And I would like to thank everybody. Again, I'll reiterate what Tamika said about Miss Burdett and Miss Bailey. the strength that y'all are displaying here is very remarkable. I must say, you know what I'm saying? I gotta give y'all, you know what I'm saying? It's not time to give y'all any props or anything, but you know, I definitely have to give y'all a hug and a pat on your back because this is what mothers supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Be the voice for their children when their children don't have a voice. True Master, thank you for sharing your knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Because
Thanks for having
knowledge
me.
is very expensive. You know what I'm saying? It's a very expensive and costly. And it costs you time and it costs you, you know, your freedom to get this knowledge. And thank you for sharing it with the audience and with these mothers. I'd
Anytime,
like
my
to
brother.
thank the audience. Thank you. I would like to thank everybody that's tuning in. Please like, share, and repost. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget ISO360.org is the website. You know, support the cause. Rugged Road to Recovery merch. Yeah. Thank you again. It's been real on the Rugged Road to Recovery.
Sure.
See
Good
y'all next
night,
time.
everybody.
Have a good
Peace.
night. Peace.
Peace.
Stay strong.
Thank you.
Just on the beat.
Give thanks, live life. Judge me, I praise all time. Everything blessed, everything alright. From your feel good, put your hands in the sky. Alright. Give thanks, live life. Judge me, I praise all time. Everything blessed, everything alright. Everything blessed, everything alright. Give thanks, live life. Judge me, I praise all time. Everything blessed, everything alright. From your feel good, put your hands in the sky. Alright. Give thanks, live life. Judge me, I praise all time. Everything blessed, everything alright. Everything blessed, everything alright.
Tonight before I go to bed, bless you is what I ask of him. Protect you and always keep you safe. Guide you and strengthen your
Give
faith.
thanks, live life. Judge me, I praise all time. Everything blessed, everything alright. From your feel good, put your hands in the sky. Alright. Give thanks, live